We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani. Good to have you all with us. We want to acknowledge all of you for tuning in, wherever you may be from around the world. This is the place where people, hang out to talk about love, life, and relationships, whatever your relational status is, whether you're single, dating, in a committed courtship, engaged, or married. Couples Academy has a place for you to engage in a conversation that will teach you how to level up your life and take your relationship to the next pitch. So listen, guys, we're talking about an important conversation that I think a lot of people struggle with. I just feel like my spouse is taking me for granted. You know how many people feel dismissed, devalued, just dissed in their relationship? They just don't feel like there's a level of honor and respect. And we're going to talk about what to do if you feel like your spouse is taking you for granted, and how to identify the signs and what to do with that. But before we get started, September 9th through the 11th, you know what it is. It is what? It's the Unearthed Retreat. And so, man, they're almost full to capacity. People have been registering. There's still room for a few more. So if you're interested, we encourage you to reach out, right? Contact us, set up a discovery call. Go to the website, find out more details, because it's going to be a phenomenal retreat. Danielle's preparing some amazing things. There's some amazing speakers. If you're new to the show and you have no clue what I'm talking about, take a look at this and we'll be right back. Doesn't that look like an amazing time? I tell you, this will be, I think, the 3rd time Danielle hosts this retreat. And I tell you, every single year, the women they don't just have fun, and it's an opportunity to get away from being a mom and a wife and being an employee or a business owner, because, women wear a tremendous amount of hats. They wear many roles. They're juggling so many balls, right? There's so much going on in their life. And so it's an opportunity to rest. It's an opportunity to breathe. It's an opportunity to get unstuck, unbroken. It's an opportunity to be unearthed of all of the stuff that you've been carrying and holding on to that have been making you sluggish emotionally, keeping you from being the best version of yourself. The level of transformation that they experience is incredible. So make sure you register today. All right, guys, we're talking about the fact that I feel like my spouse takes me for granted. Let's begin to unpack some of the signs that you may be experiencing in your relationship. These are some key indicators. Now, let me just say this. There are some people who just aren't aware that they're messing up. Some people who just simply don't know. They're following patterns that have been played out in their childhood. This is what I always saw. This is what I always did. And so therefore, I don't know that any of this is wrong until it's until I'm made aware of it. And so if you've never had these conversations with your spouse, give them grace. Have a loving conversation and begin to shift and change the culture in your home so that honor and respect and admiration can be included. Now, it is an emotional need, right? So when we're talking about the top 10 emotional needs of men and women, one of them is admiration, to admire, to value, to esteem, right? To respect. So many people feel disrespected, disregarded, just dissed. And so as we walk through these, don't look at it as an opportunity to say, but look at it as an opportunity to say, you know what, I think it's time that we have a conversation. So let's go to the first one. The first one is this. Your partner never says thank you. Now, if there are roles that are delegated in the household, right? So as a wife, your role, your duty, your function, the way things have always been is that you are the cook, let's just say. Maybe you tidy up around the home, let's just say. Maybe the husband, you're the guy who takes out the garbage. You're the guy who mows the lawn. When something's broke, you fix it, right? So these are defined, distinct roles that exist in your relationship. But I think the issue is because we assume that that's what your role is and that's what you're supposed to do, there's no need to have to thank you for what it is that you do because that's what you're supposed to do. What, you want a cookie? You want an award? You want a trophy? You want me to grab a bullhorn and announce to the world how grateful I am that you made a meal or you cooked? Well, every now and then it could actually help. You know, studies have been done within the workforce that when people receive recognition, acknowledgement, and praise, they crave it and value it more than their paycheck. Of course, they want to get paid, but they find fulfillment and purpose and a desire to continue, knowing that they're doing something beyond just paying their own bills, but they're contributing to a larger mission, a larger vision when they're recognized for their contribution. No one wants to feel taken advantage of. No one wants to feel taken for granted. And if we struggle, now if low morale exists within the corporate space because there's no acknowledgement or recognition, imagine what happens in your home. Many people say, man, being a husband, being a wife, being a mother, being a father, it is a thankless job. You're expected to do all these things. You're giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and getting very little in return. We would call that parasitical. And so taking the time to say, you know what, babe, I just want to thank you. That meal, oh my God, that meal was incredible. You know what, babe, 2 days ago when you got up on that ladder and you screwed in that light bulb because, you know, the light was out for about 3 months and you just screwed it in and I didn't have to remind. I just want to thank you and just tell you how much I appreciate you. Because what happens is when you begin to operate in gratitude and thanksgiving, it could motivate the spouse to continue to do more because giving them acknowledgement, recognition, and affirmation becomes the cherry on their top. And that is one of the things that people love. People love praise. I mean, think about it. Even the Bible talks about praise, right? When the praises go up, the blessings come down, right? So even our Creator desires to be praised. Well, the relationship that we have with God, we talk about how there's three relationships. We have our vertical relationship with God, our internal relationship with ourselves, and our horizontal relationship with others. The relationship we have with God, that should be a template for the relationship that we horizontally have with our spouse. So if praise, right, is one of the things that we do with our Heavenly Father, then why would we not take the time to give praise or recognition or acknowledgement to our spouse? Because wait a minute, we are in a threefold covenant with God. And praise, acknowledgement, recognition should go in all directions. And when somebody, listen, I remember there's a scripture in the Bible. I think it was Jesus. He was blessing a bunch of people. They were lepers, they were sick, dumb, deaf, and blind, all types of things. And he healed them. And they all went away. But then one came back and said, listen, I just want to say thank you for what you did. And Jesus said to him, because you said thank you, not only have you been healed, but now I'm going to make you whole. So there's even a reciprocal benefit that you receive when you give thanks and acknowledgement to someone else. You are rewarded for taking the time to acknowledge. I hope this is making sense to you, because some of you never saw your parents say thank you, please, just the sensible, normal things. It's almost like, rather than your spouse being a helpmeet, which is what they are if it's a wife to a husband, you've treated that wife like she's the help. Major difference between you being the help and you being a helpmeet, right? And so likewise, even a husband to a wife, to assume that you're just supposed to do and you're given orders, and your spouse is running you around doing tasks and duties and taking care of her, but with no acknowledgement, it has an impact. So please, if that is you, I encourage you, take the time to acknowledge your spouse, because if they feel taken for granted and they don't feel like that they're given the love and the support and the acknowledgement that they need, it does have an impact on how they show up in that relationship. Here's another one. Your partner never asks your opinion. Now, here's the deal. I'm a grown man. I'm competent. I have a level of knowledge, a level of wisdom and expertise. I am able to pour into the lives of other people. I have had so many people say, hey, Hasani, we appreciate your wisdom, your advice, all of that, right? So I see that I have worth and value. People constantly seek me out for my opinion, for advice. But then I'm in a marriage where I'm never asked my opinion. I'm never sought out for advice, as if my opinion doesn't mean anything, as if the thoughts that I have to contribute to a situation are not valued. It will make me feel some type of way. Why is it that you don't value me the way others value me? Now, either you don't value me because there's this different perspective you have of me, or maybe, like many couples, there's this competition. Isn't this crazy? Like, you're married to a spouse, but you feel like your spouse is competing with you for who knows the most, who's the most successful, who makes the most money, who contributes the most. And you one each other up all the time. It's just like, listen, we're not opponents. We're on the same team, right? We have the same mission, goal, purpose, and vision. Why are you competing with me? Why do you feel like you have to have the answer? Why do you feel like you can't come to me for advice? I don't know if it's a chauvinistic thing, if it's a feminist thing, if it's an intimidation thing, if it's a competition thing, or if it's a trust thing. But these are the types of things that exist in relationships, and it just doesn't make any sense. And so when you don't ask your spouse for advice or an opinion, it's almost like blocking them out. It's compartmentalizing them to a certain aspect of your life and not bringing them into your thoughts, into your heart, into your mind, into the things that are necessary for you to make clear decisions. And these are the things that we do. And this causes our spouses to feel like, you know what, they just take me for granted. I am not valued in this relationship. Let's go to the next one. Your partner makes plans without asking you. Now we're talking about independent decisions. And so we've seen the damaging effects of doing this, because when you come into a relationship, you are partners with one another, right? And so not that every single decision has to be made together. Hey, babe, I'm going to the grocery store. Can we make a decision on what I should? Well, no. Like, there's certain things that you give your partner space to lead in, because there's a level of competence that they have and a level of confidence that you have in them, and vice versa. I don't need to be involved in every single decision that Danielle makes. However, when it comes to some important things, right? Maybe financial decisions. This is where a lot of couples get in trouble, and they're not in financial alignment. And this is how we get into what we would call financial infidelity, right? And so I'm making independent decisions about our money, or let's just say, let's keep it real, my money, because I work for this. This is my money, my check, my debt, my credit. I can do what I want to do, but you don't realize the impact that it has on your partner, on your family, on the household. And so independent decisions decisions create trust issues in a relationship. And it's just like, how are we going to be partners in this thing called life? How are we going to accomplish goals if we're operating independently within this household? There should be no independence in a relationship. That's right, I said it. There should be no independence in your relationship, because to be independent of your spouse means that you don't need them. You're not going to rely on them. You're not seeking them for support. You're not depending upon them. You're going to be self-sufficient, self-governing, self-determined. You're going to do things by yourself. And that works good as long as you are by yourself. But if you're not by yourself and you exist in the confines of a relationship, you should not be independent of your spouse. There should be an interdependence where you lean and rely on one another. And when it comes to important decisions, these are things that you want to make together, because both of you have opinions, both of you have a voice, both of you have a perspective, and you need the both of these perspectives to come together to come up with something that's comprehensive. I can't tell you how many times I've made independent decisions where I didn't consult Danielle and it didn't go well, or I was so sold and married to an idea that I asked her opinion, but that's all it was. I didn't really weigh it into the decision that I was going to make, and it did not work as well. And so all it takes is you allowing your spouse to contribute to something, and it can wind up being better for the overall success of the family. We've done that. It's worked for us, and we continue to do that. So if that's your struggle, where your spouse never asks your opinion, never asks for your advice, or you're the one not asking them for their advice and your opinion, I would encourage you that you really change the culture of your home, because it can create low morale in your marriage. It can create your spouse feeling some type of way, and that's what leads to the emotional disconnect. And when I don't feel valued by you, there's a need within me to be acknowledged, to be recognized, and I will seek value in other places. I'm not always talking about an affair when I say that, but what I'm saying is, if I can get from other people, or if I'm forced to get from other people what I can't even get from you, then now we have to question how we mutually benefiting from this thing called marriage. There's got to be a mutual beneficial exchange where we're both receiving from one another, and when we do that, we both win. We're talking about my spouse takes me for granted. We're just getting started. Listen, stay right there. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email,
and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about my spouse takes me for granted and it's just not fair. I think this is resonating with a number of you. I'm not going to click on your names, but independent decisions means that you are not operating as a unit. Facts. Somebody says this is huge. Feminism destroys relationships or marriage. Facts. Chauvinism. Any type of ism that exists creates division in your marriage and can tear it apart. Independent decisions in a marriage will leave you independent for real. So true. That describes the problem in my marriage, independent thinking. This is true. So I think we hit on something here. Listen. At the end of the day, it's so critically important that you understand that once you say I do, you certain things in you have to die, right? You have to kill certain things within you. What has to die is the lifestyle that you had. You're no longer single. That means that you no longer can just think for yourself. There's other people who are involved in the normal daily decisions that you make. They're impacted by the decisions that you make. And so excluding them will significantly cause a problem. So it's important that couples learn to become marriage-minded instead of single-minded. I know so many people who've been married for 10, 15, 20 years, but they're still single-minded in their thinking. They don't think as a couple, they think as individuals. Well, listen, this is how I feel, this is how you feel. I do it my way, you do it your way. I got my this, you got your that. That's your car. You wash your car. I'm not washing your car. That's your responsibility. That's not mine. And you have two individuals that are coalescing together. And I don't even know if they're coalescing, but they exist together in a household and they live very separate lives. There's no coming together. There's no oneness. There's no unity. And it presents a problem because there's no glue, in essence. There's no glue that binds them together as one. There should be a oneness experience. Not to say that you have to think exactly the same. No, you don't. Like, you don't lose your individuality, your self-expression, your voice. It is how these voices merge together to create a unified voice in your marriage. And that's the key to your success if you want to move forward. All right, here we go. Another one. Your partner doesn't do their fair share. And as a result, I feel like my spouse takes me for granted. Like, listen, I'm bearing the weight of everything happening up in here. I wash the clothes. I cook the food. I clean the house. I mop the floors. I even take out the garbage. I'm the one who's making calls for the dentist and the doctor's appointments. I'm the one making the calls for the repairs that need to be made on the car. All you do is kick your feet up, relax, and live your life. And I'm bearing the weight. I'm juggling all the balls. But guess what? I only have two hands and I got 35 balls that I'm trying to juggle, and things are falling and there's cracks, right? There's stuff that's being left behind because I can't do it all. And so it's important that there has to be a proper division or delegation of tasks, duties, and responsibilities. We've got to create a system that works for us, because if this marriage, if this household is going to be person dependent, like I'm the person that everyone and everything depends on, we're going to have a problem, because at some point I'm going to lose steam. I'm going to become exhausted, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. And what happens is people feel like throwing in the towel because I did not sign up for this. There's got to be a proper delegation of responsibilities. One of the most important emotional needs in a household is domestic support. So let's sit down, let's take out a piece of paper and pen, and let's divide up the responsibilities. Okay, we have a team of me and you, husband and wife, right? So we have the two of us. Let's distribute this. Now, yes, fine. You work from home. I work on a job. But wait a minute, you assume because I'm home working that I have all the free time to do everything because you're outside of the home. No, I've got responsibilities from 9 to 5, just like you 9 to 5. I just happen to be home. So don't make the assumption that I'm supposed to do everything. Now, if I do not work, right, and I don't have a job, makes sense that I bear the major responsibilities. But if we're both working, if we're both providing income for this household, right, there's a responsibility that we have outside of the home to what we contribute within it, but there's also a responsibility that we have within the home in terms of how we maintain it. That is how we show up as partners. It's so interesting to me how so many men say, I almost said something. I'm the man in charge. I'm the head of this house. But wait a minute, you're not involved in anything within this house. Problem. So you want to be the head and you want to make top-down decisions, but you're not involved in the day-to-day? Doesn't work like that, right? Or maybe the shoe's on the other foot, right? Maybe the man is doing it all, because that's a reality too. And the woman is kicking her feet up, don't want to be bothered. I don't got time for that. Whatever it is a problem. And so it will create a bitterness and resentment in a household when you operate it in this particular way. Gonzalez says, it's so small where my eyes at. Marriage-minded rather than single-minded. Wow. And that's true. That's how a lot of people live. And it's unfortunate. Then Ms. Jewel says, and this is how they become married roommates. Boom, Jewel. That's a fact. Listen, guys, if you haven't read the book, you need to get the book, Married Roommates. It talks about, the phrase that we use is, the phrase is that we go from soulmates to role mates to roommates. There's an emotional disconnect. And it happens for some very quickly, because they haven't established a culture and code to govern their household. And because we can't agree and we see things differently, that begins the divide. So there needs to be a system of balance that exists. True. Very important. And when we begin to have that, everything begins to change. So hopefully this is resonating. This is making sense to you. Let's continue. This is a big one, folks. Listen, your partner doesn't do special occasions. Now listen. Everybody needs to be celebrated. Everybody needs to have special days. Now, if it's a religious thing, like for instance, I know, I have friends who are 7-day Adventists. No. Which I forget what faith tradition, they don't really celebrate holidays. Is it 7-day Adventists? I believe so. Or Jehovah's Witnesses, one of them. We love y'all. But there's certain faith traditions where they don't celebrate holidays. I get it. In that situation, understand it. If that is not your situation, and that is not a belief system that you carry, celebrating special days are important. Like, I hear this all the time. Some spouses don't even know when their anniversary is. No clue. They have to be reminded. When the anniversary comes, oh man, now they're scrambling, right? And a spouse knows when you have forgotten. A spouse knows when at the last minute you're scrambling to put something together. It loses its value, it loses its worth. When it comes to birthdays, I'm just not into that. I don't need nothing for my birthday, so I don't know why you need a big to-do. Fine, you want to do something, fine. I guess we can go out to dinner, right? You don't feel celebrated by your spouse. You don't, as a couple, engage in things. You don't celebrate, and it's a problem. I don't do Christmas. That's not a tradition that we grew up on, and I don't see the point of it. And so you're taking away a critical element that any relationship needs in order to continue to go. Here's the reality. Many of us are living a groundhog marriage. Now, if you've seen the movie Groundhog Day, you know that they were trapped. Here's this guy who's a reporter, and he's trapped in time. And every day he's experiencing the same exact day. And if you watch that movie, even though in the movie, it appears as if there are only about 18 days from the beginning of the movie to the end, when analysis has been broken down, he lived the same day for over 33 years. How many of you have been living the same day in your marriage for the last 10 years, the last 15 years? There's nothing to look forward to. There's no fun. There's no excitement. It's just like eating oatmeal with no sugar, no cranberries, no brown sugar, no butter, no nothing. Just dry, old, boring, stale, plain oatmeal. That's what your life is like. Sometimes you need a little bit of spice. Sometimes you need a spark. Sometimes you need something new and different. And taking time to get away, to go on a weekend trip, to do a 1-year anniversary, an annual vacation, to celebrate your anniversary, to celebrate your birthdays, holidays, whatever it is, to go on date nights. These things are critically important. And what happens is when you do it, you're taking the time to celebrate your love, your union, your companionship, and thank you, Jewel, Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, they don't celebrate their holidays. So we get that. But if that's not your situation, then don't bring that mess up in here, because it will cause a divide in your union. And so these are the things that you have to be intentional to do. It can't be, it's been 3.5 months since we went on a date. I guess we can go somewhere. Where you want to go? I don't know. You want to grab something to eat? Like, that's date worthy. That's not a date. That's you two doing what you do every single day, eating a meal. It just happens to be outside of the confines of your household. There's nothing date worthy about that. So you've got to begin to put life back into your relationship so that your spouse feels valued and esteemed. Now, I can't believe we've run out of time already. We're talking about, how your spouse makes you feel like, you're not valued. You feel taken advantage of by your spouse. We're going to have to continue this conversation today. But in the meantime, have a conversation with your partner. Go through these line items and see where you align and where you're disconnected and what you need to do to get back on track. Love you guys. See you tomorrow for another great episode. Till then.